On an autumn day in 1864, a young Nietzsche wandered into a second-hand bookshop in Leipzig, Germany, browsing until he came upon a book entitled The World as Will and Representation by Arthur Schopenhauer. Despite being unfamiliar with the author, intuition told him to purchase the book. In its pages, he found the direction lacking in his life. Nietzsche himself refers to this day as the one where he found his life's work. His first encounters with Buddhism were also through the work of Schopenhauer. In Buddhism, Schopenhauer found a view of existence comparable to his own. This view considered life as unconditionally unsatisfactory. In life, man could never find true lasting happiness or fulfillment, but only endless disappointment and sorrow. In Nietzsche's opinion, the nihilist philosophy of Schopenhauer was an existential disease to which Europe was on the verge of succumbing. Nietzsche feared that the seeds of nihilism would grow into a European version of Buddhism, which he considered a view that mistakenly accepts nihilism as the ultimate statement upon existence. Europe's adoption of Plato's two-realm worldview was the primary cause of the oncoming nihilism. This view divided existence into two realms, the natural and the divine, the latter giving the former its meaning. As the understanding of man's natural origins took root, the divine source of man began to lose its grasp on the minds of Europe. Nietzsche predicted the established two-world view of existence will inevitably be deemed a falsehood, and the question of the value of life will become, once again, open. As Nietzsche puts it in The Gay Science, "At long last the horizon appears free to us again, even if it should not be bright. At long last our ships may venture out again, venture out to face any danger. All the daring of the lover of knowledge is permitted again. The sea, our sea, lies open again." Somewhere on the open sea, Nietzsche believed the only acceptable response to nihilism would be found, a new vision of existence based on life as it is in the natural world, the only world. A European Buddhism would obscure the sight of that open sea. Man's centrality in a godless cosmos is the foundation shared by both Buddhism and Nietzsche. Both look to man for their solutions to the problems of existence, not some external power or being. Nietzsche's problem is the oncoming nihilism. Buddhism seeks to expose and resolve the unsatisfactory nature of existence that the majority of mankind view as meaningful. Also, Buddhism and Nietzsche share the view that man is an ever-changing flux of physical and psychological forces. Within this flux, there is no autonomous subject corresponding to a self or soul. Both agree there is a hierarchy that can exist between individuals. The pinnacle of this hierarchy for Nietzsche is the as-yet unattained Übermensch. For Buddhism, this pinnacle is referred to as the Buddha, which was attained 2,500 years ago by Siddhartha Gautama. These goals are to be achieved through an expression of the most basic and natural force of existence, in order to overcome the self. Buddhism refers to this power as Tanha. Nietzsche refers to it as will to power. Though Nietzsche considers the sciences indispensable to the philosophy of man, he is not a reductionist who regards humans as a mere expression of complex chemical processes. Rather, he views man as a rare and complex constellation of forces. The constellation man cannot therefore be reduced to the minute processes of atoms. In truth, it represents a complex and evolved expression of those processes. Nietzsche looks to physiology as a means of stressing the natural origins of human existence, reminding us that our bodies play a significant role in our decisions. In this context, Nietzsche credits the Buddha as being the, quote, profound physiologist, as he sought natural explanations and remedies for the condition of man. He also viewed the Buddha as replacing morality with physiology. As he says in Ecce-Homo, it is not morality that speaks thus, it is physiology. Nietzsche credited the Buddha with understanding that there are no supernatural causes and origins, nor morality based on them. All causes and origins are natural. While it is true that the Buddha appeals only to the natural order of reality, what he considers natural differs from Nietzsche. The Buddhist cosmos, an entirely natural cosmos governed by natural laws, is full of strange beings who inhabit other worlds. Even the god Brahma, who deludedly believes he created the universe, is dependent on natural conditions and subject to the same impermanence as all else. Consequently, what the Buddha regarded as physiological reaches into what Nietzsche, science, and most religions consider supernatural. Both the Buddha and Nietzsche realize that a high degree of self-awareness is essential to the process of self-overcoming. This self-awareness is developed by paying attention to what Nietzsche referred to as the little things, like the food we eat and where we live, so that we may assess their cumulative effects upon our minds. They seek to bring our perception of the object into sharper focus with the goal of developing a greater degree of personal freedom. In regard to the objective aspect, Nietzsche has his little things, and Buddhism has the first of the five skandhas, form. Nietzsche describes the subject as an embodiment of fluctuating forces such as drives, feelings, and emotions. Buddhism addresses the subject as being composed of the other four skandhas, feelings, perceptions, volitions, and consciousness. Both see the relationship between the subject and his environment as reciprocal and mutually conditional. Although they acknowledge the effect of our environment on our condition, they agree that its influence can and must eventually be overcome. In order for the subject to free itself from its condition, awareness of the formative impact of its environment is not enough, but the subject must also consciously engage in the process of self-overcoming. Buddhism has long recognized the importance played by the external conditions one lives under, and the effects of these conditions on the path of self-overcoming. Buddhism devotes a great deal of attention to what Nietzsche called little things. For example, there are detailed accounts of the 6 character types and the specific details of the environments that produce them. By becoming aware of these effects, the individual can take steps to undo his conditioning, opening his mind to change and knowledge. The achievement of the state of enlightenment in Buddhism is accomplished through a process called citta bhavana, which means mind cultivation. The state of the Übermensch is likewise to be realized through the practice of self-overcoming, which Nietzsche called Selbstüberwindung. This serves as the central theme of Nietzsche's answer to nihilism, though he left no clear detailed account of how to overcome the self. There are suggestions and rough sketches found in his notes. Some specific examples provide a model by which the general direction and goal of self-overcoming can be determined. Such examples include the transformation of feelings of sexual desire to love, vengefulness to justice, and join the pain of others to join the happiness of others. These examples represent an overcoming and sublimation of negative motives with positive, evolving ones. They also reveal Nietzsche's conception of true reality and natural morality, which is, as Nietzsche said, healthy because it affirms life. In this manner, he proposes that all effects, both bad and virtuous, are, in a sense, our own creations as products of human interaction. Nietzsche compares the mind to a garden, and the subject as the gardener. In Twilight of the Idols, he suggests, quote, "One can dispose of one's drives like a gardener, and cultivate the shoots of anger, pity, curiosity, as a beautiful fruit tree on a trellis. One can do it with the good or bad taste of a gardener, one can also let nature rule." Thus, the first step for Nietzsche's spiritual aspirant, as he described in Twilight of the Idols, is to, quote, "become master over his wrath, his choler, his vengefulness, and his lusts." It is not clear how we are to go about developing the desired effects, but, as Nietzsche reminds us in The Gay Science, we are as yet only guinea pigs. Nothing is certain in this venture, and we cannot be entirely sure where we are going. The Buddhist conception of self-overcoming is most clearly expressed in the Dhammapada. Though he may conquer 1,000 times 1,000 men in battle, yet he indeed is the noblest victor who would conquer himself. The real battle for power is within the individual. Sharing this view, Nietzsche describes man as a war against oneself, in which the basic weapons are self-control and self-outwitting. Both Nietzsche and Buddhism agree that the primary forces within this battle are the various drives and passions that make up what we are. Nietzsche shared with Buddhism the dual aspects of self-overcoming, a suppression aspect and a cultivating aspect. Hence Buddhism's name for the process, mind cultivation. Suppression and cultivation in Buddhism is outlined by the 4 right efforts: to avoid, to overcome, to cultivate, and to preserve. The entire process is performed in pursuit of a further end, development of prajna, or wisdom. A single verse of the Dhammapada epitomizes the nature of citta bhavana. "Cease doing all evil, cultivate the skillful, purify the mind. This is the teaching of the Buddhas." Though Nietzsche mistook Buddhism for a mere cheerful acceptance of nihilism, they had many aspects in common. Ultimately, the common goal of both Buddhism and Nietzsche is a better existence for mankind. They agree that by skillfully channeling certain deep-rooted forces, man could proceed on a path of self-overcoming that eventually culminates into a new kind of being. Perhaps if Nietzsche truly understood Buddhism, he could have found a way of realizing his